Okay, now I'm going to say something that hopefully most people will say no shit Sherlock to. World War I was terrible. 37 million people died in one of history's most brutal wars. It saw the collapse of 4 empires, the establishment of a variety of nation states, and massive changes both politically and culturally. The conditions of the Treaty of Versailles at the end of the war were so brutal for Germany that Marshal Foch said, "This isn't a peace, this is a 20-year truce." Spookily enough, 20 years after the Treaty of Versailles, World War II happened. So how did this all start? Well, it all started with a terrorist attack wherein a Serbian nationalist shot and killed the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was the Crown Prince of Austro-Hungary. Austro-Hungary submitted an ultimatum to Serbia, which Serbia only accepted in part. This led to Austro-Hungary declaring war on Serbia. Russia was an ally of Serbia, so they declared war on Austro-Hungary. Germany had an agreement with Austro-Hungary, so they declared war on Russia and struck a deal with the Ottoman Empire. The French were allies of Russia, so they declared war on Germany, and Germany invaded France via Belgium. Belgium was an ally of the UK, so the UK declared war on Germany, and thus the stage was set for World War I. Now, at the start of World War I, war had a generally glamorous image of chivalry and adventure which appealed to the public. Also, there was a belief that the war was going to be short. The British said that the war was going to be over by Christmas, and the Germans said that the troops would be back before the leaves fall. Now, the British would have been a bit more accurate in that description if they meant Christmas 1918. The war was fought on several fronts, including the infamous Western Front with its trenches, the Alpine Front between Austro-Hungary and Italy, and in the Arabian Desert. The trenches covered what is now the Low Countries. What was green countryside and farmland became a lunar landscape pockmarked with shell holes, barbed wire, and crisscrossed with zigzagging trenches. Life in the trenches was brutal. Soldiers were constantly under fire from snipers, rats and lice were a part of daily life, and add to that a condition called trench foot, a fungal infection which led to the amputation of many soldiers' feet. The trenches were originally meant to be temporary, but they ended up being a permanent feature and a dark icon of the First World War. On particularly bloody battles, blood would often fill the trenches up to people's ankles. Soldiers from both sides would tunnel under enemy trenches and place bombs underneath the trenches. One explosion was so large that it woke up David Lloyd George, the then Prime Minister of Great Britain, in his bed in London. The biggest of the explosions on the Western Front could be heard as far away from the trenches as Dublin. Meanwhile, in the Alps, the Austro-Hungarians and the Italians were fighting in conditions that rivaled the brutality of the trenches. One popular tactic was to fire mortar rounds into the snow above enemy positions, causing an avalanche that would cover enemy soldiers with snow. The soldiers would then freeze to death or suffocate whatever came first. To this day, the frozen bodies of Italian and Austro-Hungarian troops are still being found, still wearing uniforms, still with the shocked and terrified look upon their faces in the Italian Alps nearly 100 years after the war ended. In 1918, Germany hit hard times. Trade embargoes made food very hard to come by, and Germany was on the brink of revolution. Germany could not go on fighting, so they signed an armistice with the French that effectively stopped the war on the 11th day of the 11th hour of the 11th month. Sound familiar? Because that happened to be Armistice Day. The fighting continued right up to 11 AM. Some soldiers died just as the guns started to fall silent. Even after the armistice was signed, the war didn't officially end. The Treaty of Versailles was particularly brutal towards Germany. The Treaty of Versailles saw Germany's military cut drastically, reparations being forced to pay from Germany to the other states involved in the war, and, to top it off, a condition of blame, saying that Germany started the First World War, even though it started with a terrorist attack in Sarajevo. This treaty and its effects eventually led to one Adolf Hitler rising to power and starting World War II. World War I is a reminder to us all that there is no glory in war. Thanks for watching.